This is a Mercedes E-Class that I picked up the other day, and it is absolutely immaculate. This car is 27 years old, believe it or not, and it is beautiful, very well looked after. I believe it's a deceased estate's car. And if you know, there's it's in beautiful condition. It's been really looked after. In fact, the Mercedes the Mercedes men at work type of sign has never been out. It's still brand new. While I'm showing you this, I'm going to do a couple of segments on reconditioning some body panels, because although the interior is beautiful and the exterior is fine too, in Australia the sun is so harsh that it does suffer a little bit, or make the bodywork suffer a little by the gel coat on the top does flake off. So I'm going to be doing a couple of videos on how to deal with a problem like this and how to respray a panel and blend it in with the rest of the vehicle. Now this is a 28-year-old Mercedes E-Class, which I picked up. Extremely low mileage, but it has been left out in the sun, and well, I don't know exactly what has happened to the bonnet. I think it's been resprayed before, but they're actually pit marks, and it's gone right through to the metal. It's started to go rusty, and the main problem with it is, I think you might be able to detect here, the top gel coat or clear coat has come off in places, which happens in Australia a lot. And I'm going to show you how to repair the gel coat on this wing. I'll be doing that today. So what I'm going to be using, or the type of equipment that you will need to do this type of repair on the guards: panel filler or body filler, primer. Now I always use a fairly good primer. Don't go getting the cheapest off the cheap shelf. I've had the Super Cheap Auto in Australia actually will mix the paint for you. They'll match the paint and mix it and put it in aerosol cans for you, or they'll put it, they'll mix it in a paint tin for you to spray it yourself. But I've got spray guns, but I'm going to do it not necessarily the easy way, but the way that probably 90% of people would repair their cars, I suppose, with an aerosol can. And of course, now this is the clear top coat. Okay, so cars, especially in Australia, do need a clear coat that does protect the paint. You'll need an assortment of grades of paper, all the way up to 1500. Okay, you'll also need a good masking tape. Okay, because you need this to make a barrier between the good paint work, or where you don't want paint to go, on the rest of your car. So the first thing we need to do is to mask off areas of the panel work we don't want to scratch or put paint on of any description. So we use good masking tape, painter's masking tape. Okay, so I've masked everywhere off now, and because we just want to blend these edges in to the colour of the paint, in other words, sort of knock this edge back, we're going to use 600 paper, and we're going to use, this is wet and dry paper. We just rub this back. And what we're doing as well, we're taking the glaze off, as in, I suppose, marking it up, scratching it with minute little scratches, so the layer of top coat that we put on has something to attach to. I don't know whether the camera's picking this up, but as I'm rubbing this top layer out, I'm finding in areas that it's actually starting to flake. So I'm going to have to, well, certainly in this area here, I'm going to have to take the gel coat completely off down to the actual paint colour, and I've just revealed here a previous repair. I've actually gone through the paint there, and that's a little bit of body filler there that I can see. So I'm going to have to completely repaint this. I thought I was going to get away with just knocking this back and putting a fresh clear coat on top, but no, that's not going to happen. So I've got a bit of work ahead of me here, so I've got to take this gel coat, well, not gel coat, but clear coat completely off down to the paint, and then we'll prepare it for painting. Okay, I've gone all over the area now, and I've sort of feathered it back, and you can't feel any imperfections. They're sufficiently rubbed out. I've got off all the top clear coat that is going to come off. The rest is pretty stable, and now I'm going to mask up. And that's just with ordinary newspaper, which is very easily done. And then put on your existing, whether the barrier, where your barrier is, your barrier tape, but making sure you do overlap and there's no paintwork showing that you don't want coated with new paint. Okay, so it's all prepped. You need to shake the paint for about 5 minutes and always wear a mask. Okay, so here we go, holding about 6 to 8 inches away from the panel, and start the spray off the panel. Make sure we've got paint coming through. And don't be tempted to put too much paint on all at the same time. Even movements. Don't be too tempted to put too much paint on per coat. And when you, in between coats, turn the can upside down and just give it a, that will clear any paint out through the nozzle and stop any splatter. And when you start to spray, just spray some on your paper. Make sure the nozzle is clear and paint is coming out. Okay, now what I do, now these are quartz halogen floodlights. Each one of these is 500 watts, so there's 2 kilowatts there, well, of light, but I'm using it for the heat to warm that panel up. Now the drying process in between coats will, you know, sort of triple or even quadruple, so I can get each coat done in about 10 minutes. So I've done 5 coats there and it's taken me an hour. So I'm going to give this now about 15 to 20 minutes and then we're going to put the clear coat on. Okay, so now I've put 5 coats on this of colour. And that was about, the last coat I put on was about 20 minutes ago. So what you need to do is just find an area which is, you know, you wouldn't put your hand anywhere on here, but somewhere where you know the paint is tacky. You should be able to touch the paint and not stick to it, or it come off on your finger, okay? But it will feel, I don't know, slightly rubbery, maybe, to the touch. And it's at that point that you put your top coat on. So here we go. So, top coat or clear coat, that is. And so at this point, you see the result of all your hard work, because this looks absolutely beautiful. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes, and it's pretty dry. It's dry enough to take the masking off. Just be careful taking your masking off that you don't let some of this lie on the paintwork. So just do it very carefully and you'll be all right. Okay, so there you go. It's a perfect finish. And I know what you're going to say, oh, it's a different colour. Well, yes it is. This is the Mercedes original colour. This is 30 years old. So, and you know, to me it really doesn't matter, because you will understand I'm doing the whole car. I will eventually be doing the whole car, because there's not a panel on here that isn't affected with some sort of problem. And you know, the boot lid is all scratched, and nearly every panel, even the roof. So I will be doing the whole car. Okay, let's see if I can get this without getting too much glare from the lights. There you go, if I stand in the way. So you'll see this little tiny pit marks that have gone right through the paint, right through to the metal. It started rusting, and it's all over the bonnet. I think this has been resprayed before. You know, so I really don't know what's happening, but I do know in Australia cars do suffer a lot with, if you see here, this is the top clear coat, and it flakes off with the sun. It takes about 15 to 20 years to get to this stage. Of course, this one's 28 years old. So with this particular job, I am going to take this bonnet pretty well in the worst areas here, all the way down to the metal, and prime the whole bonnet, and we will paint this one. So what I've done in preparation is, you know, protect the paintwork that you don't want to scratch or mark up in any way, hence the wings that we've just painted. And we will take this down with abrasive paper on an electrical device. Okay, see what I was just starting to rub down here, and this is what I've got to get out. This is all the way down through to the metal, and there's a rust spot right in the middle of that. There's another one there, and I dare say there's probably some more in there as well. And you can tell that they were all over the place. All these little tiny spot areas here you can see, and especially over in the center of the bonnet, these are little tiny rust spots that I've, you know, sort of got down to as clean metal as I can. And I'm going to have to now spray the entire bonnet with what's known as an etch primer to stop that, you know, sort of stop the rust in its tracks. And the only way of doing it is take it all the way back to the metal like this. Orbital sanders are a great help doing this type of work, and unfortunately for me, there was a repair and a repaint done on this whole of this bonnet, and my personal view is it was half a job, and of course a lot of work now to get it all the way back down to the metal. because the undercoat was the problem, and start from the beginning. When I'm hand sanding, I reuse the discs that have come off the orbital sanders because the center of them hardly ever gets used, but they make very good sort of emery paper to be able to do this by hand, and you just can't get in this sort of area with an orbital sander, so I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm using a damp rag to make sure that there's no dust on here before I start applying the primer coat. So what I'm doing now is I have these quartz halogen floodlights. It's this 2 kilowatt of quartz halogen floodlight warming this panel up. You know, if it's a nice sunny day and still air and no dust, you know, the sun will do this for you as well. You know, you can do this outside, but it's got to be a still air day and preferably nice and sunny. Make sure you shake the can up well, a good 5 minutes. Okay, then just on a piece of your paper somewhere, just make sure you got paint coming out. Then start in the middle of the panel and nice even strokes. Not too much paint all at once. I'm going to put about 3 coats, possibly 4. Keep the can about 6 inches, or as near as you can, 6 inches. Okay, so this is now the following day after priming this, so, and you know, it's sort of semi-matte finish, but it's quite a thick layer, 4 coats of primer on here. So now I've got to flat it, what's known as flatten it, and you do that with 600 grade paper, which is wet and dry, and I use a cork block as well. And very easily you don't have to press very hard, just nice easy movements with it. Just to make it smooth. You're not trying to rub the filler out, you don't go down through to the metal, you're just trying to make it smooth. So I spent about an hour flattening this, and now it feels like silk to touch, and it's perfectly dry and cleaned off. So now we start the paint process. I'm going to be putting about 5 coats of colour on this, and That's the type of paint. Make sure your can's shaped really well. Don't try and get too much paint all on at once. Okay, so that's the first coat, and it's a little blotchy. You can see that because it's a very thin coat. So now I'm going to apply the second coat, which is approximately 10 minutes after I finish the first coat. And I'm under quartz halogen heat lamps as well, which speeds the process up. So I just want to start on the front here. On that front edge. You notice that can was spluttering a bit. Don't continue with it. Use a fresh can. That's what it should be like. Nice even spray. Okay, so this bonnet has had 4 coats of paint now, and it was about 20 minutes ago that it had its last coat. So what you need to do is just find an area, don't touch the bonnet itself, but find an area where you know the paint is going to be wet but sort of out of sight, and touch it. And it shouldn't come off on your finger, and it should feel sort of slightly rubbery. It's at that point that you put your gloss or clear coat on, and this is the clear coat that I use. So, and this is when the real magic happens. You can see that it's not exactly totally shiny. That's where this comes in. Make sure you overlap each line, and if you have to, go back. This is the real important one. Even straight lines. Keep the can moving, otherwise you'll end up with a run. Start one side of the bonnet or the panel, work your way across. Well, there she is. I hope you've enjoyed the series of videos of reconditioning the panel work on the front end of this old Mercedes. I've put as much as I can into these videos so as not to make it too boring for you, to show you that at home you can repair your own paint work and body work. In future videos I will be showing you how to repair a deep scratch, which I have at the back panel up there, and which will involve some grinding out, which you can actually do by hand, and body filler and repaint it. This bonnet reconditioning was quite a drastic measure, taking it all the way back to the metal, but it absolutely required it. And you know, to do this bonnet has probably cost about approximately $200. If you went into a paint shop for this, it would cost you $2,000. So it's well worth doing it yourself. So I hope you've liked this series of 2 videos reconditioning the front of this car, although it's only one wing, and this, I did do the 2 wings. I hope you join me in the future for reconditioning this old Mercedes. So thank you for watching, and please come and see some of my other videos on CNC routing and wood turning. And it's bye for now.